I never thought a single night could break me, unmake me, and then piece me back together with a love so fierce, so uncontainable. It changed everything I am.
My name is Emily. I'm 21 years old. And if you had met me 2 years ago, you would have seen a girl who once clung tightly to faith, but slowly let it slip through her fingers. I was raised in church. Sunday mornings were filled with hymns, prayers, and the smell of fresh coffee brewing in the church hall. As a little girl, I believed Jesus walked with me everywhere. When I climbed trees, when I scribbled in my notebook, even when I whispered to him before bed. But growing up, something shifted. Maybe it was the weight of unanswered prayers. Maybe the sting of watching people I trusted fail me. Or maybe it was just the noise of the world drowning out that still, small voice. I began to think faith was something for children, something naive, something I had outgrown. By the time I reached college, I only wore my cross necklace out of habit, not conviction. At first, it was small compromises, skipping church here and there, making excuses when my mom asked if I prayed, smiling politely when friends talked about God, but never daring to admit the emptiness building inside me. I chased after friendships, parties, and the thrill of being wanted. But the more I filled my life with noise, the emptier I became. I remember one night in particular, music blasting, laughter swirling around me, drinks flowing freely. Everyone seemed alive, but I felt like a ghost walking among them. I laughed when I was supposed to, smiled when someone looked my way, but inside I felt hollow. I thought to myself, is this it? Is this all there is? But I shoved the thought away, too afraid of what it might mean. Then came the night everything changed. It was a late drive home after a gathering. My friends had begged me to stay, but something told me to leave early. I brushed it off as exhaustion. The highway was quiet, the kind of quiet that presses against your skin and makes you feel small. I rolled down the window, letting the cool air sting my face, hoping it would keep me awake. But in a flash, headlights, screeching tires, and the deafening sound of metal twisting. A truck had swerved into my lane. I remember the impact, the shattering glass, the spinning world, and then silence. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in my car anymore. I was above it. I saw my body slumped over the steering wheel, blood streaking down my forehead. Panic surged through me, yet at the same time, there was a strange, unearthly calm. I could see everything, the flashing hazard lights, the smoke curling into the night, the truck drivers stumbling out, shouting for help. But I wasn't inside my body. I was outside, hovering, watching. Then it happened. A presence, warm, radiant, more real than anything I had ever known, wrapped around me. It wasn't light like the sun. It wasn't light like a lamp. It was light alive. It pulsed with love, a love so deep it pierced through every wall I had built. I turned, and there he was. Jesus. Not like the pictures hanging in Sunday school classrooms, not a figure in a painting or a story in a book, but living, breathing, burning with love and glory. His eyes held galaxies, yet they looked straight into me as if I were the only one he had ever created. Emily, he said, and when he spoke my name, it wasn't just sound, it was identity. It was as though he was telling me, I know you, I always have, I've never left you. And in that moment, my whole life unraveled before me. Every choice to walk away, every night I numbed myself with distractions, every prayer I whispered as a child, every tear I cried alone. He saw it all, he knew it all, and still his love poured over me like a flood. I wanted to collapse at his feet. I wanted to say, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for leaving you, for doubting you, for pretending I didn't need you. But before I could form the words, he reached out, and the moment his hand touched me, everything changed. I felt forgiveness, not just as an idea, but as a force rushing through me. Every ounce of shame, regret, and failure was washed away in an instant. I had spent years running, but here he was running towards me with arms wide open. Emily, he said again, and this time his voice carried both tenderness and strength. It isn't your time. I'm not finished with you yet. And just like that, the light faded, and I was back in my body. Pain surged through me, sirens wailed in the distance. A paramedic's voice shouted, "She's still breathing." My chest ached, my lungs fought for air, but I was alive. At the hospital, they told me it was a miracle. The car was crushed, yet I only had a concussion, a few broken ribs, and cuts from the glass. The doctors couldn't explain it, but I knew. I knew I had been given a second chance, a new life, and a calling I could never ignore. The days that followed weren't easy. Recovery was slow, nights were filled with flashbacks of the accident, but every time fear crept in, I remembered his eyes, his voice, his love. That memory became my anchor.
I went back to church, not out of obligation, but hunger. The songs I once sang absent-mindedly now broke me into tears. The sermons I once tuned out now pierced my heart. Prayer wasn't a chore anymore, it was a lifeline. Friends noticed the change. Some didn't understand. A few drifted away. But others leaned in, asking what happened to me, why I seemed different, why I spoke about Jesus as if I had just seen him, because I had. Now, every day I wake up with the simple prayer, Lord, let me never forget. Let me live like I've touched eternity. I don't pretend to have all the answers. I still wrestle with doubts, with questions, with the weight of this world. But I carry with me the certainty of that night, when Jesus reached into my brokenness and reminded me that his love is relentless, his grace unending, and his call undeniable. And so I share my story, not because I want attention, not because I want sympathy, but because someone out there, maybe you, has drifted like I did. Maybe you once believed, but feel too far gone. Maybe you wear a smile on the outside while your soul quietly aches inside. Maybe you wonder if Jesus has forgotten you. I'm here to tell you, he hasn't. He never will. Because the same Jesus who met me on that highway, the same Jesus who lifted me out of my brokenness, is the same Jesus reaching for you right now. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to clean yourself up first. His love is not something you work for. It's something you receive. So hear me when I say this. Don't wait until you're on the edge of death to realize the depth of his love. Don't wait for tragedy to open your eyes. He's calling you now, right where you are. And if you've walked away, if you've drifted like I did, come home. His arms are still open. His love is still waiting. His grace is still enough. Because once you've seen him, once you've felt the fire in his eyes, the mercy in his touch, the eternity in his voice, you'll know there is no life apart from him. And I know this because I lived it. So as I close this story, I'll leave you with this. You may have wandered far, but you are not forgotten. You may feel unworthy, but you are still chosen. And the love of Jesus, the love that rescued me on that night, is overflowing right now, waiting to rescue you too. If this story touched you, if you felt even the smallest tug in your heart, don't ignore it. That's Jesus knocking. Open the door. Step into his love. And if you want to hear more stories of hope, redemption, and the unstoppable love of Christ, make sure to subscribe to this channel. Together, we'll walk this journey of faith, one story, one miracle, one testimony at a time. Because his love is too great to keep silent, and I promise you, what he did for me, he can do for you.